Phone. All right, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Testing. One, two, three. Cool. All right. What's up? So, yesterday, I went through a little bit of reminiscence, reminding myself of what happened back in February 2024. And I thought today I'd dive deeper into basically every single cyber or major cyber attack. I'm gonna basically go through a little bit since 2000. I wouldn't say 2000s play a big role. Um, at one point, I remember hanging out at some questionable forums where I learned a lot about the disgustingness of the internet. The website was icodeviruses.com. Yeah, that was about 2005, 6. And I learned a lot of interesting stuff there, right? But I also learned that what one would consider the hacking community was still growing up. They were still kind of getting their diapers off and learning how to cook for themselves. We got a lot of script kiddies, a lot of people trying to crack games and try to create a brute force um, key generator for games and just in the cyber world, right? We're going to go over a little bit on how connections even happen, what is the general pathway between different places around the world, how to basically read these graphs, and what to keep in mind when you read them, because they're not going to tell you every single detail about a connection. Some will give you more, and there's a lot of different types of maps. This one specifically is more of like a historic journal of what has happened since, I believe, 2015. 2015. 10 years. That's a lot of stuff happening, but I'd be interested to find a little bit more towards 2000. But I will say, after those little script kiddies grew up, man, shit got serious. Look over here, 2017. It was quiet, calm before the storm, and the activity absolutely blew the F up. Absolutely global chaos. We're gonna understand through our little research together. And I'm probably gonna be doing this live. I'm gonna be chilling sometimes. I'm gonna be listening to music at other cases. I'll be talking. But here's a good intro to kind of get the mood for what's gonna be happening with our stream today. Potentially gonna even use this. Oh, let me readjust myself a little bit. I'm gonna be using this to maybe cut up a video of kind of the summary of everything that I've gone through today. But this is a research project. This is literally me going online, communicating with anyone that's here, and getting ideas to put together into the ultimate sort of video, or I guess documentary on basically what's been going on in the networks for the last 10 years, at least. At least. At most, I'd prefer to go further. Uh, go and check out what the script kiddies were doing back in 2005. So, why did I get in this direction? Well, we have a ceasefire in the Middle East, which is great. Don't get me wrong. That's great. It's absolutely great. No lives are getting lost. The absolute chaos of the world is calming down a little bit. But I know what happens when it gets quiet. I've seen multiple times where there's a conflict escalating on the news in all case scenarios, and then it gets quiet on the physical realm, but something crazy happens on the digital. I did a bit of a observation on my ex back in February 23, 2024, where the Chinese balloon. Let me actually check also my stream just to make sure I'm talking well. It's looking good. It's not skipping. It's chill. The Chinese balloon that was hovering around. I don't know if y'all remember that. There was a good old Chinese weather weather balloon, and we didn't take it down. We really didn't take it down for a whole week. I'm going to describe the details that happened in that flight as well. I'm going to try and track potentially where it went through and the cell towers it probably hijacked in the process. Because after that point, I mean, I'm thinking the map 2020s is where it really got crazy, but 2024, we don't even have that right now. Hold on. The last one's 2021, so we can't even see. Unfortunate. Oh, wait, look at that. We've got 2014, 2013 current data. Interesting. I'm gonna have to find more sources, but this is a good start. Because I don't have 2024, 21 to 25, which I'm sure its data still being compiled. But I also don't have 2000 to 2000, what, 12, interestingly enough. So it's something. It's something. We're gonna go over some of the recent hacks that's been happening here. You can see on text. The biggest one so far, I mean, Salt Typhoon, telecom attack. How is it that a big Chinese weather balloon comes through, knocks down or does some, well, not knocks down because we shot it down. We shot the balloon down. And a couple of, what, a month or two later, I think it was in March. I have to go through my X to figure out, TWL Christoph. A couple of months later, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T shut off. Oh, it's a solar flare, they said. It's a solar flare. I know. Sure it is. Sure it is. It didn't affect transformers, electrical equipment, cars with chips, cell phones, anything else but those particular three main mobile providers. So, you know the news. You know the news. The news gets a little bit wonky when it comes to reality and things that are actually true. Because they don't want to have people get scared, so they omit the truth and excuse the other details possible. They're gonna blame things that are not related, basically. I mean, they could have been related. It could have been a tiny solar flare, and I'm pretty sure there was something happening with a solar type flare, but it didn't really affect anything else other than three companies. No transformers. Transformers are pretty high up on the power lines. Cell towers, yeah, they're pretty high up, but that perfect middle where only the mobile towers were affected. It kind of gives me a little bit of a hmm. Seems kind of sus situation. Let me see. Here's kind of what I went through back on my TWL on X. This was May. Okay, not March, but May. New solar storm, solar flare, etc. Happened. This is when I actually still used the hashtags. I'm sorry, hashtag everything. But that's when I didn't realize that they kind of moved away. I'm glad in a certain way it cleaned up. Like once Twitter changed to X, it got a little cleaner. It was a little bit messy with the hashtags, but this was a little bit late in my part. So the next night, days forward, so far network is quiet. Huge difference from the AT&T mobile attack hacks. Brought to near proxy through mobile towers using the spy balloons. That was my theory, right? My theory was that this spy balloon was a bridge, a network bridge across potentially satellite level connection, because you need to bypass the Earth's curvature to connect from China, because it is a Chinese balloon. So you would need the balloon to essentially float just at the right altitude to not only have signal vision of the mobile towers, but also probably a couple of bridged satellite systems that will connect to that balloon. Then you can bypass a lot. You can bypass so much. And here's what you would bypass if you planned it that way. You would bypass the connection. So here's China, right? Somewhere in this big old spot here. You would have to connect. I mean, China's got already quite the limited network, but there is kind of a backwards it looks like. So it potentially connects. You have to just look at it. All right, let's see. Shanghai, they can cut connections in so many different ways, but you have to be sure that many of these, because we know hackers are prominent within the Chinese, well, arsenal of weaponry, especially as Russia as well. So a lot of these direct bridges to um, the US on the other end are going to be highly secured. Firewalled up to A, hardware firewalls, DNS firewalls, Cloudflare, 5 level security, whatever. So they won't be able to access much from this side, only the public access to the websites, Google, yada yada, if they so choose. But we already know a lot of Beijing already filters out any outside internet uh, to basically limit their own people's, well, perspective. So what's the next case scenario? Well, you go through Europe. So you would have to connect from Hong Kong down to Hanoi, down to Phnom Penh, potentially over here to Singapore. Singapore has a connection over here to Chennai. Chennai doesn't have a lot. This is the thing. I really wanted to like find a nice little map here. No, actually, Singapore connects over here to Port Sudan. Port Sudan then has direct access to the European network. Then you got to kind of hop around, find your way over to the Atlantic cables. Was that the Atlantic? Am I tripping? Yeah, it's the Atlantic. I always forget. I always, for whatever reason, dyslexia, Pacific and Atlantic. So the transatlantic cables are basically what these are representative. These thick lines here show a high broadcasting dual-sided data stream of high velocity data moving so much data. I can't even explain how much data, but so much data moving so quickly through these cables, right? From point A to point B. So this is the main bridge between the US